Every life, when the applause grows quiet, the distractions fade, and you are left alone with the truth. Not the comfortable truth that makes you feel good for a day, but the kind that changes the way you see yourself forever. We spend years searching for success, happiness, and peace, believing that someone, somewhere, will hand us the secret. Yet life has a different way of teaching. It whispers its greatest lessons through disappointment, through failure, through lonely nights, and through doors that never open, no matter how hard we knock. The truths that shape us are rarely wrapped in comfort. They arrive uninvited, challenge our assumptions, and force us to grow beyond the limits we once accepted. Today, I invite you to walk with me through 7 uncomfortable truths nobody talks about enough. Truths that may sting at first, but if embraced, can awaken a strength, wisdom, and freedom that have been waiting inside you all along. One of the most difficult lessons life will ever place before you is the realization that the world does not owe you understanding. Many of us begin our journey believing that if our intentions are good, if our dreams are sincere, and if our hearts are honest, then people will naturally support us. We imagine that those around us will see what we see, feel what we feel, and believe in what we believe. But life has a way of revealing a different truth. Not everyone will understand your vision, and not everyone is meant to. There will be moments when you try to explain the fire inside you, and others will only see smoke. You will speak about your goals with excitement, and someone will answer with doubt. You will share your hopes, and another person will respond with caution, criticism, or even silence. At first, this can feel painful. It can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder whether your dream is too large, too different, or too unrealistic. But the measure of your purpose is not found in the opinions of those who cannot see it. The truth is that every meaningful path begins as a lonely road. Before a seed becomes a tree, it grows beneath the ground where no one can admire it. Before a song touches millions of hearts, it exists as a quiet melody known only to its creator. Before a person becomes the fullest version of themselves, they must walk through seasons where nobody understands the transformation taking place within them. Growth often happens in places where approval cannot reach. Do not spend your life waiting for permission to become who you are meant to be. Some people are only able to understand a dream after it has already succeeded. They celebrate the victory but never saw the struggle. They admire the confidence but never witnessed the fear. They praise the destination but never walked the difficult road that led there. If you wait for everyone to agree with your journey before taking the first step, you may remain standing still while your life passes by. There is a quiet strength that emerges when you stop demanding understanding from the world. You begin to trust your own voice. You learn to listen to the wisdom that lives within you. You stop measuring your worth by the amount of applause you receive and start measuring it by the courage you show. The strongest people are not always those who are surrounded by support. Often, they are the ones who learned how to keep moving when support was nowhere to be found. Remember that misunderstanding is not always rejection. Sometimes people cannot see your path because they have never traveled it themselves. Their limitations are not your destiny. Their doubts are not your future. Their inability to imagine what is possible does not make your dream impossible. You are not responsible for convincing every person you meet. You are responsible for being faithful to the calling that has been placed upon your heart. So walk forward with grace. Let people misunderstand you if they must. Let them question your choices, your direction, or your ambition. Time has a remarkable way of revealing what explanations never could. And when the world fails to understand you, do not lose yourself trying to be understood. Keep growing, keep believing, and keep becoming. The life you were meant to live was never dependent on universal approval. It only required your willingness to continue, even when nobody else could see what you saw. There is another truth that many people discover only after life has already begun to change them. Growth often feels like loss. We are taught to think of growth as something exciting, something joyful, something that arrives with celebration and certainty. We imagine that becoming stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled will feel like gaining more of everything we desire. Yet real growth often asks for something in return. It asks us to release what no longer belongs in the life we are trying to build. Sometimes growth requires leaving behind habits that once brought comfort. The routines that kept you safe may become the very things that keep you small. The excuses that protected you from failure may also prevent you from reaching your potential. There comes a moment when you realize that the familiar is not always the same as the necessary. What once served you well may no longer be able to carry you where you are meant to go. And then there are the relationships. Few things are more difficult than accepting that not everyone is meant to accompany you through every season of your life. Some people enter your story to teach a lesson, to offer support during a particular chapter, or to help you discover something about yourself. But growth has a way of revealing differences that were once hidden. As your values change, your priorities shift, and your vision expands, certain connections may begin to feel strained. Not because anyone is wrong, but because the paths are no longer leading in the same direction. Many people resist growth because they mistake change for betrayal. They cling to old versions of themselves out of loyalty to who they used to be. They remain in places they have outgrown because leaving feels uncomfortable. They continue carrying identities that no longer fit because they fear what others might think. Yet there is no wisdom in shrinking yourself to preserve a version of life that no longer reflects who you are becoming. The truth is that every transformation contains a goodbye. The butterfly cannot become a butterfly while remaining a caterpillar. The tree cannot reach toward the sky while refusing to shed old leaves. Nature itself reminds us that renewal and release are partners, not enemies. What appears to be loss is often the space being created for something greater to emerge. There will be moments when growth feels lonely. You may miss the people you once spoke to every day. You may miss the certainty of old routines. You may even miss the person you used to be. That feeling does not mean you are moving in the wrong direction. It simply means you are human. Every meaningful change carries a period of adjustment, a season where the old has ended, but the new has not yet fully arrived. During those moments, trust the process taking place within you. Trust the lessons you have learned. Trust the strength that has been quietly forming through every challenge you have faced. Do not measure your progress by what you have left behind. Measure it by the person you are becoming. The purpose of growth is not to keep everything intact. Its purpose is to help you become more authentic, more courageous, and more aligned with the life that is waiting for you. One day, you will look back and understand that what felt like loss was often preparation. The doors that closed made room for better opportunities. The habits you released created space for healthier ones. The relationships that faded taught you the value of deeper connections. And the old version of yourself that you struggled to let go was never meant to disappear without purpose. It existed to bring you to this moment where you finally had the courage to grow beyond it. Sometimes the greatest gain in life arrives disguised as a goodbye, and the strongest version of you is waiting on the other side of that farewell. There is a truth that many people spend years trying to avoid because it feels unfair the moment they hear it. Your healing is your responsibility. The wounds you carry may not be your fault. The disappointment, betrayal, rejection, or pain that entered your life may have been placed there by circumstances you never chose. Life can be harsh in ways that no one deserves. Yet while you may not be responsible for what happened to you, you are responsible for what happens next. Many people wait for healing to arrive the way rain falls from the sky. They hope time alone will fix what is broken. They hope an apology will erase the hurt. They hope someone else will come and repair the damage that another person caused. But healing rarely works that way. Healing is not something that happens to you. It is something you choose again and again, often when it is difficult, often when it is uncomfortable, and often when nobody else can see the work you are doing. Pain has a strange way of becoming familiar. Even when it hurts, people sometimes hold on to it because it feels safer than change. A wounded heart can build walls and call them protection. A disappointed mind can lower its expectations and call it wisdom. A fearful spirit can stop taking chances and call it caution. Over time, the injury becomes part of the identity. Instead of saying, I experienced pain, people begin to say, I am my pain. And that is where healing begins to slip away. The moment you decide that your pain will not define your future, something powerful begins to change. You stop seeing yourself only as someone who was hurt. You begin seeing yourself as someone who can overcome. The story is no longer centered on what happened to you. It becomes centered on who you choose to become because of it. That shift may seem small, but it has the power to transform an entire life. Healing does not mean pretending the wound never existed. It does not mean forcing a smile while your heart is still aching. It does not mean forgetting every difficult lesson or ignoring every scar. Healing means facing the truth with courage. It means acknowledging the hurt without allowing it to control every decision. It means giving yourself permission to move forward without carrying yesterday into every tomorrow. Some days healing looks like forgiveness. Other days it looks like setting boundaries. Sometimes it means asking for help. Sometimes it means walking away from what continues to harm you. There is no single path that fits every person, yet every path toward healing begins with the same decision, refusing to remain trapped by what has already happened. The journey is rarely quick. There will be days when old memories return. There will be moments when you feel as though no progress has been made. But healing is not measured by perfection. It is measured by persistence. Every time you choose hope over bitterness, growth over resentment, and courage over fear, you are moving forward, even if the steps feel small. One day you will realize that the greatest victory was never becoming untouched by pain. The greatest victory was learning that pain did not have the final word. The scars may remain, but they no longer control your direction. The memories may stay, but they no longer steal your future. And in that moment, you will understand that healing was never about becoming the person you were before the wound. It was about becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate because you chose to rise above it. That is the quiet power of taking responsibility for your healing. It is not a burden. It is the key that unlocks your freedom. There is a moment in every life when a difficult realization arrives, and it changes everything. It is the moment you understand that no one is coming to rescue you. Not because the world is cruel, and not because people do not care, but because the responsibility for your life has always belonged to you. Many of us spend years waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mentor, the perfect relationship, or the perfect set of circumstances to appear and transform our future. We tell ourselves that when the right person arrives, everything will finally fall into place. Yet life often teaches a different lesson. The breakthrough we are waiting for is frequently waiting for us to take the first step. There is nothing wrong with receiving support. Guidance can be valuable. Encouragement can be powerful. A helping hand can make a difficult road easier to travel. But support and rescue are not the same thing. Support can walk beside you, but it cannot walk for you. Advice can point the way, but it cannot take the journey on your behalf. No matter how much others care about you, there are battles that only you can fight and decisions that only you can make. Many dreams remain unfinished because people continue waiting for permission to begin. They wait for confidence before taking action. They wait for certainty before making a move. They wait for a sign that guarantees success before risking failure. But confidence is rarely present at the beginning. Confidence is built through action. Strength is developed through effort. Courage grows when you move forward despite uncertainty, not when uncertainty disappears. The truth is that your life changes the moment you stop asking who will save you and start asking what you can do today. It changes when you stop focusing on what is missing and begin using what is already in your hands. You may not have every resource. You may not know every answer. You may not feel completely prepared. Yet some of the greatest achievements in history were started by people who began before they felt ready. There is a quiet power in accepting ownership of your future. It means understanding that your circumstances may influence your path, but they do not have to determine your destination. It means recognizing that while you cannot control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. Every choice, every habit, every effort becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. This realization can feel uncomfortable because it removes excuses. It asks you to look honestly at your life and acknowledge the areas where change depends on your actions. It challenges the belief that someone else will eventually solve the problems you continue to postpone. Yet hidden within that discomfort is freedom. The moment you stop waiting for rescue is the moment you discover your own power. Think of all the possibilities that open when you no longer place your future in someone else's hands. You stop waiting for approval before pursuing your goals. You stop waiting for ideal conditions before beginning. You stop giving away responsibility for your happiness, your growth, and your purpose. Instead, you become an active participant in your own story rather than a spectator hoping for a different ending. That does not mean the road will always be easy. There will still be setbacks. There will still be moments of doubt and seasons of struggle. But when challenges arrive, you will face them differently. You will no longer see yourself as someone helplessly waiting for circumstances to improve. You will see yourself as someone capable of adapting, learning, and continuing forward. One day you may look back and realize that the person you were waiting for never arrived because that person was always meant to be you. The strength you searched for in others was quietly growing within you. The answers you hoped someone else would provide were discovered through your own experience. The rescue you imagined did not come from outside your life. It came from the moment you decided to take responsibility for your future and trust yourself enough to keep moving. And that decision, more than any miracle, has the power to change everything. There is another truth that quietly humbles us all at some point in life. Hard work does not guarantee immediate rewards. From an early age, many of us are taught a simple equation: work hard, do the right thing, stay committed, and success will quickly follow. It is a comforting belief because it makes the world feel predictable. Yet life often unfolds in a more complicated way. Sometimes you give your best effort and see no results. Sometimes you make sacrifices that seem to go unnoticed. Sometimes you pour your heart into a goal and discover that the reward does not arrive when you expected it to. This reality can be deeply discouraging. There are moments when you look around and wonder why others seem to be moving ahead while you are still struggling. You may question whether your efforts matter. You may wonder if all the early mornings, late nights, and difficult choices are worth it. When progress feels invisible, doubt begins to whisper. It tells you that your work is meaningless. It tells you that you should quit. It tells you that because the reward has not appeared, it never will. But life has a way of teaching that not all growth is immediately visible. A farmer does not plant a seed in the morning and expect a harvest by evening. There is a season of waiting between the planting and the reaping. Beneath the soil, unseen by the eye, roots are forming, strength is developing, foundations are being built. The same is true for the goals we pursue. Some of the most important work in your life is happening long before anyone can see the results. The world often celebrates outcomes while overlooking preparation. People admire the successful business but rarely witness the years of uncertainty that came before it. They applaud the accomplished artist without seeing the countless hours spent practicing in solitude. They celebrate the confident speaker without knowing how many times that person struggled, failed, and tried again. Success often appears sudden from a distance, but up close it is usually the result of patient effort repeated over time. One of the greatest challenges is learning to remain faithful to the process when the process offers no immediate applause. It is easy to stay motivated when rewards are arriving quickly. It is much harder to continue when your efforts seem unnoticed. Yet character is often shaped in those very moments. Discipline is not built when everything is working. It is built when you continue despite uncertainty. Persistence is not proven when the path is easy. It is proven when you refuse to abandon your purpose because the results are taking longer than expected. There is wisdom in understanding that timing is not always under your control. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control your willingness to keep learning and improving. But many outcomes require patience. They unfold according to seasons that cannot be rushed. Trying to force them often leads to frustration. Trusting the process allows you to focus on what truly matters, becoming the kind of person capable of handling the success you seek. The truth is that some rewards arrive in forms you do not immediately recognize. While you are waiting for the promotion, you may be developing resilience. While you are working toward the dream, you may be gaining wisdom. While you are pursuing the goal, you may be becoming stronger, more disciplined, and more capable than you ever imagined. Sometimes the greatest reward is not what you achieve. It is who you become while striving to achieve it. So when progress feels slow, do not assume it has stopped. When recognition is absent, do not assume your effort is wasted. Every meaningful accomplishment carries a story of patience hidden beneath the surface. Keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep believing in the value of consistent effort. The harvest may not arrive today, and it may not arrive tomorrow, but that does not mean it is not coming. Some of life's most beautiful rewards take time because they are building something far greater than success alone. They are building a person who has learned how to endure, how to persevere, and how to keep moving forward long after others have given up. And that kind of strength is a reward no one can ever take away. There is a truth that can be painful to accept, yet it has the power to free you from years of confusion. Some people will only love the version of you that benefits them. They will appreciate your kindness as long as it requires no sacrifice from them. They will celebrate your generosity as long as it continues to serve their needs. They will enjoy your presence as long as you remain the person they have become comfortable with. But the moment you begin to grow, set boundaries, or choose a different direction, their support may begin to fade. This realization often arrives quietly. At first, you may not notice it. You may believe that every smile is genuine and every expression of support is unconditional. You assume that the people who cheer for you today will cheer for you tomorrow. Yet, life has a way of revealing who is committed to your well-being and who is simply attached to the convenience you provide. Growth acts like a mirror. It exposes intentions that were hidden beneath the surface. When you begin valuing your time, some people will accuse you of becoming distant. When you start saying no to things that drain your energy, some will call you selfish. When you decide to pursue your dreams instead of meeting everyone's expectations, some will question your choices. These reactions can be surprising because they often come from people you expected to understand, but their discomfort is not always about your change. Sometimes it is about losing access to the version of you that was easier for them to control. Many people spend years shrinking themselves to keep others comfortable. They silence their opinions to avoid conflict. They postpone their goals to maintain approval. They carry responsibilities that were never theirs because they fear disappointing those around them. In doing so, they slowly lose touch with their own needs, their own desires, and their own identity. They become experts at pleasing others while forgetting how to honor themselves. The tragedy is that approval gained through self-abandonment is never secure. If people only value you for what you provide, then their affection depends on your continued sacrifice. The relationship becomes a transaction rather than a connection. You feel pressure to remain the same because change threatens the arrangement. Yet no healthy relationship requires you to stop growing in order to preserve it. The people who truly care about you may not understand every decision you make, but they will respect your right to evolve. They will not demand that you remain small so they can feel comfortable. They will not resent your progress simply because it challenges their expectations. Real love does not fear your growth. Real love encourages it. It celebrates the emergence of your authentic self, even when that transformation creates change. This does not mean you should become bitter or suspicious of everyone around you. Not every disagreement is evidence of selfishness. Not every difficult conversation signals a lack of care. Human relationships are complex and people are imperfect. The lesson is not to stop loving others. The lesson is to recognize the difference between those who support your growth and those who only support your usefulness. As you continue to evolve, some relationships will deepen while others may drift away. That can be painful, especially when memories and history are involved. But holding on to relationships that require you to betray yourself comes at a far greater cost. You were not created to spend your life trapped inside someone else's expectations. You were not given dreams so that you could hide them. You were not meant to silence your voice simply to keep everyone pleased. One day, you will understand that losing conditional approval is not the same as losing love. The people who only valued the benefits you provided may leave when those benefits disappear. Let them go with grace. Their departure creates space for healthier connections, for mutual respect, and for relationships built on sincerity rather than convenience. The right people will not demand that you remain the person you used to be. They will have the courage to meet the person you are becoming. And when you find those people, you will discover a kind of love that does not fear your growth, because it was never dependent on your limitations in the first place.